This is an Internal Audit Awareness podcast, and we are interviewing Andy Akoto. Andy Akoto is a partner in risk consulting and head of advisory KPMG, Ghana. Andy has over 30 years worth of experience responsible for overseeing KPMG's risk and management consulting practice in Ghana. In this role, he takes leadership in coaching and directing service delivery teams in services such as corporate governance and board advisory, risk management, regulatory compliance, forensics, and information technology. Stay put to glean office insights.
Hello and welcome to an exclusive interview with Andy Akoto, partner KPMG and head of advisory. We are excited to know more about his life and also hear his thoughts about how he made it and a few thoughts about internal audit. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you very much.
We'd like to know a little bit more about you, your background, where you went to school, from primary school to wherever you want to end.
Okay, so essentially I started my schooling in Kumasi. My primary school was a school called State Experimental, from where I continued my high school at Prempeh College. I gained admission to the then School of Administration at the University of Ghana, majored in accounting, and then after school I did my national service with the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana.
Wow.
From where I was then attracted to KPMG among the offers that I had received to start my professional career. So that is a little bit about me.
A little bit about family.
Well, I'm married with 3 kids, if I can call them that. But yes, so I have 3 children, and the last one is in university.
That's interesting. Did you grow up with both parents?
Yes. My parents were Balfour Akoto, and my mother was Mrs. Helena Akoto, all of blessed memory. And I lived together with about 6 other siblings in the house. Older siblings, of course, because I'm the last but one.
Wow.
And therefore, there were a lot of learnings for me to pick up whilst growing up. Yep.
How would you describe the training from your parents having an impact on your life?
I would say it made a tremendous impact, particularly given the values imbibed in me by the family values, obviously. My dad was a disciplinarian and therefore made sure that we demonstrated responsibility very early in life, which obviously was a bit disconcerting as a young boy. But later I came to appreciate it.
I can imagine.
And I believe it kind of shaped my outlook in terms of my approach to most situations. I take things quite seriously, but then I also make time for a good laugh every now and then.
Did you have a nickname when you were in secondary school?
I wouldn't particularly say so, but my home name is Nana Akoto.
Okay.
And everyone shorten it to Nato. Nato.
Okay.
As in short form of Nana Akoto.
Akoto. Okay.
Eventually, this got sneaked into school.
Oh, okay.
Basically, that's it.
Wow.
I didn't really have one of the more sexy nicknames, if you like.
Okay. You mentioned School of Administration. Was that on Legon campus or where Achimota School is?
I was on Legon campus. Okay. I'm not aware that it's gone to Achimota.
No, so I heard previously that was the school started from there and then moved.
No, I'm not that ancient. It's still at where the University of Ghana Business School is.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was just about, what, 3.5 decades ago.
Wow.
When I entered the School of Administration. It's pretty much the same faculty that has evolved to what is now known as the University of Ghana Business School.
Still about school, did you have a favorite lecturer or a favorite course when you were studying in business school?
I must say I enjoyed a lecture known as Human Behavior in Organizations.
Okay.
And this was administered by a lecturer who is also late, Professor Benuakon. Benuakon. And he had a very fatherly way of trying to bring the concepts to you. And, within the School of Administration, you study a number of courses, I must say I also enjoyed Professor Mills's company law classes.
Okay.
Fantastic lecturer. I topped a number of his interim assessments.
Ooh.
And one would have thought I would probably have gone on to read law.
Oh.
But then I stayed with the accounting course. And so I would say these were probably two of my favorite lectures.
Wow. Did you know that Andy was, or let me say, is one of the first to attain the CIA certification? Andy, I want to know, did you just decide to do internal audit, or how did it come into the picture?
Good question. My career in KPMG was shaped by the evolution of the firm itself.
Okay.
Given that when I joined, it was just an audit firm. We didn't have a consulting wing.
Okay.
And so the first couple of years, we were all doing audit. Okay. Enter a number of senior professionals in the form of Mr. Winful, former senior partner, and Yoku Kosa,
Okay.
and a couple of others. So we started what is now known as the Consulting or Advisory Division within the Ghana practice.
All right.
And for that matter, one can say that eventually I had to reinvent myself.
Okay.
To try and expand the advisory services portfolio, one of which was the internal audit services.
Okay.
Whereas it was quite evident from some of the engagement that we'd done in the firm, I'd come to the realization that to be able to really nurture that particular portfolio very well, I needed to take a professional certificate in that. And so at the time there were 4 levels. I needed to, no, I think 3. I needed to get through all of them. I did the first 2 quite easily. The third one, I bombed one, but eventually qualified as a certified internal auditor with a view to actually bring in this particular service line to the fore within markets in Ghana. And it was reassuring that there was an international certification that I could identify with that could also enhance my credentials. Right. Because then 1 or 2 proposals were coming through also requiring that CIA certification. So I went for it.
Nice. What would you say is your greatest assets contributing to who you are today?
Okay. So I tend to focus when I have an objective in view.
Okay.
And that means, applying everything that I've learned in my student life, in my professional life. Every endeavor must have some objective. You must be aware of the risks that can prevent you from achieving those objectives, and therefore put in place measures to mitigate those risks. But then, until that objective is achieved, I hardly rest.
Oh,
I
okay.
only take a breather
Okay.
once I have achieved a certain objective. And I believe that has guided me quite well in my professional career.
So that is focus.
Yeah.
And I think we all need that, because a lot of us tend to be distracted a lot of times in our day, social media. Sometimes when you're working, you hear your phone ring or something and you just want to go and check. And I think Andy has told us today that we need to focus if you want to be like him.
No, but it also comes across from some quarters, from what I hear, as a bit off-putting, in the sense that I come across as a quite a serious-minded person.
Right.
Mostly around, because at times, even when I'm working within the four walls of the office, I'm still processing stuff.
Right.
When issues drop on your table, it's not all the time that you're able to find the solutions very quickly. At times, you may even have to go home, sleep over it, and then eureka, something drops, and they say, well, this is the way we have to go.
Right.
So that focus, one has to be consciously minded so as not to also let people get the impression that you are not a people person.
Right.
So I'm quite minded by that. Yeah.
That's very good to note. Do you think the internal audit profession is doing a good service to organizations in our day?
If you say in our day, which is the present, I would say so. Because, the most refreshing development within our markets that emerged was that the public service could find space for the setup of what is known as the Internal Audit Agency.
All right.
Okay, which then gives me the sense that Ghana as a nation, in terms of governance,
Right.
we recognize the importance of having an internal audit function, even within our national affairs.
Right.
Having said that, the results are mixed, because within the private sector multinationals, I can see the impact, because all the modern tools and resources needed, are being given to the internal audit function to contribute its part, if you like, as a third line of defense or fourth line of defense, and also as part of the combined assurance agenda.
Right.
In the public services sector, I don't believe they have been that successful, if for want of a better word, because I am quite minded that if they had been that empowered and given those resources, a lot of the ills and infractions of laws and regulations within our public services would have been mitigated.
Right.
And therefore, I believe there is still a lot to do within that sphere.
Right. How do you see the future of internal audit? Seeing that now we have artificial intelligence, we have so many wild technology coming in here and there. How do you perceive the future of internal audit?
I believe internal audit is always going to be needed, because by its own definition, it helps to apply consulting assurance methodologies to ensuring that there is good governance, effective risk management and control systems to propel the strategic objectives of any organization. So to that extent, it's always going to be very relevant from where I sit. Nonetheless, as you put it, the entire business consulting arena is being disrupted with new technology, including artificial intelligence, as you put it. And so modern day internal auditors have to continue to invest in the knowledge that some of these emerging technologies bring,
Right.
to simplify their work and make them even more impactful in their roles within organizations. I would also want to believe that there is a need for those charged with governance in organizations to find ways to empower their internal audit teams, including ensuring that periodically they are subjected to external reviews as recommended by the International Professional Practices Framework of the IIA. That way, internal audit functions would not be complacent, but would also emerge to play more impactful roles in the success of organizations.
In your line of executing jobs in internal audits, can you recall a very challenging time or a challenging moment and how you were able to overcome that?
Well, I mean, every engagement is always a challenge to try and meet the expectations of your client. But nonetheless, I believe no one engagement is the same as the other. And therefore, I find it a bit challenging to kind of isolate one particular engagement. But what I will say, though, is that in working in some engagements in the public sector, I have come to the realization that one needs to be a bit more measured and cautious in managing the stakeholders within that sector, because it's not every, if you like, public services officer who even appreciates the value that you are trying to bring to that space. Yeah. And I've therefore in times past found myself in situations where, while pretending to cooperate, they were rather finding ways to undermine the work that I was doing in that particular engagement. And that was a very useful lesson to make sure that I'm a bit more concise and precise in terms of how we structure our engagement letters, our deliverables, what procedures. Everything must be very clear from point A to point Z, such that if there are any issues, if it sits within the responsibilities of KPMG, of course that is a given, but if it is on the part of actions or inactions of players within your client environment, then it becomes very easy to point to those and put in your caveats in delivering your final reports.
Thank you so much, Andy. We are wrapping up and we just want you in a minute to tell us, what would you say is your success story?
I believe that God has been good to me because I came from nowhere, from where I sit, because when I joined the firm, I didn't really have any mentor looking out for me. Eventually, I built my networks. And if I look back through the years to the present, and currently sitting at the chair of the KPMG West Africa, I can take a bit of a smile, because I believe it has come on the back of the recognition of whatever I've also done, not only within the Ghana office, but within the West African sub-region. Right. And that gives me some sense of satisfaction.
We are very proud.
Thank you.
Okay, so lastly, we just want to know more about you, but in this time, it's almost like a game, but not really. So we'll give you 2 words. You just pick one without really thinking into it. So we can start. Rice or gari? Andy, you're thinking too much. White or black?
White.
Okay. Kotoko, hat or folk?
Kotoko.
Shoes or sneakers?
Shoes.
Gym or home workout?
Home workout.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
In person or virtual?
In person.
The beach or the mountains?
The beach.
Swimming or hiking?
Swimming.
Indoor or outdoor?
Both.
Thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome.
I'm sure you've learned a lot from Andy's story. In fact, the word focus resonates so much with me, and I'll be taking it away from here. So thank you so much for sticking with us. We'll see you soon.